In this video, we will be talking about algorithms to add. The first one is the left to right algorithm. It's named left to right because that's what you're going to do. You're going to add your numbers left to right. Now, since students learn to read left to right, this may actually seem more natural. This method emphasizes place value. So you will always add the biggest place values first. This is very great for mental math as well. So let's add the 22 plus 39. First, I'm going to write it vertically. Then I'm going to add my tens first because that is the largest place value. So I add my 2 and my 5, and that 2 and 3, and that gives me 5. But it's tens, so I write down 50. Then I'm going to add my 2 and my 9 together, and that's 11. And then finally, I just add the 50 and the 11. Let's look at the fourth one. First, I'm going to write it vertically. Then I'm going to add my largest ones first. So that's the 2 and the 1. That's 3, but it's in the hundreds place. So I write down 300. Next, I'm going to add the 3 and the 2, which is 5. But in the tens place, that would be 50. And then I add my 6 and my 0. And so I get 6. Then you just add all your columns and get 356. So I would like you to do the 2 starred problems to turn in for class. The next algorithm is called the lattice method. This method is great because it does not matter where you start. So it works really well for your kids that have ADD or they just can't determine where to start. So the very first thing you want to do is to write the problem bigger and put in the lattice. So that is the blue. So when you first teach this to your students, you're going to want to provide them the actual lattice, the blue, and then they would just fill in the green. So you can start wherever you want, but I'm going to start with the 5 and the 9 and add it together, and I just write down 14. Then I could do 8 and 6 and write down 14 as well. 7 and 4, would give me 11. And then 1 and 3 would give me 4. Notice I put a 0 as a placeholder. Then, when you add them, you're going to add them going down the lattice. So you're going to do it diagonally. 4, then 1 plus 4 is going to give me 5. And 1 plus 1 gives me 2. And 1 plus 4 gives me 5. Let's look at the third one. The second one, excuse me. Once again, I write it big so that we can use our lattice. Now, I'm going to skip around a little bit just to show you that you can. 0 plus 3, that gives me 4. I'm going to put that placeholder there. 2 plus 8 is going to give me 10. 4 plus 8 would give me 12. And 7 plus 3 would give me 0. So it doesn't matter how you fill it in. And then you're going to go back through and do it diagonally. 0, there's your 3, there's your 5, 0 and 0 gives me 0, and then I leave my 1. So I'd like you to do the third one and turn it into class. The last method we're going to look at today is called the scratch method. Some people call it the low stress algorithm. And it's low stress because students only add 2 digits at a time. Every time you do a scratch, you're going to, that's going to represent 10. So let me do some examples. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so that you can see a little better. Okay, so I'm going to have 5 plus 7. That gives me 12. Now, a lot of times you would say 12 and then carry the 1, but we're not doing any carrying. Okay, so 5 plus 7 gives me 12. So 12 has a 10 in it. So there's a scratch, and I keep my digits. So now I'm just adding the 2 and the 9. That gives me 11, which is a scratch and 1. And I was left with the 1. That was my answer. So it goes here. Now, I have 2 scratches. 1, 2. So I'm going to write a 2 up on top. And now I just begin the scratch method again. 2 plus 3 gives me 5. 5 plus 8 gives me 13, so I need a scratch and a 3 for the 13. Now I'm just adding 3 and 2, and I get a 5. Now how many scratches do I have in that column? I just had one scratch, so I put a 1 down, so it's 151. Let me work another problem like that because that tends to be a little confusing. Okay, so 6 plus 9 gives me 15. So instead of writing 15, I do a scratch and a 5. Now I'm going to add my digits. 5 plus 7 gives me 12. So I'm going to do a scratch and a 2 and put the 2 at the bottom. Now how many scratches did I have? I had 2 scratches, so I'm going to put that at the top. So that would be my 2 10s. Now I'll just continue. 2 plus 4 gives me 6. 6 plus 5 gives me 11, so that's scratch and 1. And 1 plus 6 gives me 7. Now how many scratches do I have in that column? Just 1. So I carry a 1, or you can just go ahead and put your 1 down there for 1, and your answer is 172. And I'd like for you to do the third one and the fourth one and turn it into class.